All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome to the Core Set 2021 complete set review. I'll be doing every single card in the set, all right, from constructed and from limited. A little more focused on constructed, but limited too. Obviously, a lot of the cards in the set aren't meant for constructed, they're meant for limited. So we're going to go over all of those, every single card. We're going by each color, and we're going to go, so on YouTube, it'll be a separate video for each color. So each color is a section, and we're going straight through alphabetically. And then for each section, we'll choose our best in show. What does that mean? Best in show. That's just the award for best in show, the best card in the color, right? It's not really that complicated. I don't really need to explain it to y'all. It's just really pretty simple. So that's it. Pretty simple. We've done a few of these so far for Theros, and then for whatever the set before that was. Went over really well. Definitely a lot of fun. I'm enjoying doing them. They're long. Strap in. I started a little later than I wanted to, but that's okay. We're going to stay up late and do this. It's going to be really, really awesome. And I'm pumped to play with the new cards. Definitely a really awesome mix of reprints and new cards. And, of course, I'll be playing the Early Access streamer event, June 24th, 25th. I'll be on doing my 10 new brews like I always do. I brew up 10 new decks with the new cards. I always put them up on my YouTube. I'll write about all the decks in my article on CoolStuffInc.com that week with full deck lists and thoughts on each deck. It's a whole package deal. One of my favorite parts, one of my favorite pieces of content that I do. So look for that. Enough yapping. Let's get started with white here with our very first card. Whoa, doggy, Alpine Watchdog. And of course, dogs are a new tribe. I guess they're going to go back and errata all the old hounds to be dogs. I guess Wild Mongrel's a dog now? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But a lot of doggos in this set. And roof, roof, bark, bark. Alpine Watchdog, 2/2 vigilance for 2. Not very exciting. Just a bear in limited. Might be constructed playable, and we'll see why in the multi-card section. But put that one in your back pocket, and don't worry about it. Yeah, if I was a big dog lover, I would give best in set to every dog card, but I'm not. I'm not big on dogs. Give me a hamster. Give me a hamster. I ain't nothing but a hound dog. Good start, good start. Angelic Ascension, our second card. 2-mana instant. Exile target creature, a planeswalker. Its controller makes a 4/4 white angel token with flying. So this card, on face value, looks like a worse Beast Within, right? So Beast Within, of course, is an old card. 3-mana green instant, Vindicate, but they get a 3/3 Beast. So pretty big downside. Obviously, card disadvantage. You kill their creature, give them a 3/3. If you're killing a Grizzlebrand or an Urza's Tower or something like that, then can be effective, but not the best card. You know, kind of a, I'm green, I really got to kill something kind of card. But occasionally with Beast Within, you target your own stuff. Right, so you turn your land into a 3/3, ambush an attacker. That's more the element of what I think this card's trying to do. So it can kill a planeswalker or creature if it has to. It can exile it. Maybe your opponent's got a Baneslayer Angel in play. Hint, hint. And you need it gone? Sure. But the real cool thing with this card is hit your own stuff, right? It does exile, so you won't get death triggers. You can't go like Hunted Witness on 1 and then get a token and the 4/4. But if you have, random fodder creatures around, random tokens lying around, it's 2-mana instant speed 4/4 flyer. It's pretty good. If you were to look at this card not as a removal spell, but as a 2-mana instant, sack a creature, get a 4/4 flyer, it's not bad. So definitely a pretty cool card. Playable and constructed, absolutely. In limited, there's a lot of little token stuff going on in limited. Probably a pretty good limited card too. And the ability to ambush your opponent with this in combat is awesome. Huge in limited, huge in constructed. End step threat. I guess Teferi is still legal, so it's probably going to be played in your main phase. But yeah, Ascension's awesome. Definitely a cool card. Pretty sweet one. Pretty interesting version of this effect. More push than ever before, which is really cool. Next card is Anointed Chorister. 1/1 lifelink for 1. 5-mana pump +3/+3. This is our mutate enabler. Joke is it works as a human, But yeah, I mean, limited fodder, not a very good card. There are lifelink sort of synergies in the set. One of the themes in white is definitely life gain to gain life and do stuff like that, but pretty weak card overall, not particularly powerful. You do get paid off for sinking your mana into it in the mid to late game because you gain the 4 life back, which is pretty good, but pretty mopey card here. However, it does play well with the +1/+1 synergies. So if you have that going on in limited, that could work out good. That's one of the themes. How good is the theme? Not sure, but definitely, if you're working with that, it's a decent vessel for that, like it would be for Mutate in Ikoria. Aven Gagglemaster. Even Gagglemaster. Yeah, I mean, this card's definitely insane and limited. 5 mana for a 4/3 flyer is already fine. It'll gain at least 2 life by itself. And then if you gain like, 4, even 6 life with this card, monstrous swing. This is like a Baneslayer-esque card in limited. It's not as dominating, but big flyer, big life swing, great limited card. Obviously not playable, constructed, but cool card. Hey, speaking of the devil, it's actual Baneslayer Angel. We've been referencing the card quite a bit. But there it is. The real deal, the real thing, Baneslayer Angel. I think this card historically was pretty overrated. If Baneslayer Angel sticks, and as a side note, I really hate the design on Mythics like this. The kind of card where if it lives for 2 turns, you can't ever win the game. But if it dies, you get no value off of it. You get a huge tempo loss. I just hate cards like this personally, but whatever. I think this card was overrated back in the day, and I think it will probably still be overrated now. We've seen Lyra in Standard pretty recently. For all intents and purposes, Lyra is very similar to Baneslayer Angel. It's kind of a sideboard card. It's kind of like a juke for control deck. You board in your creature, they board out the removal, things like that. Definitely a powerful card. Definitely metagame dependent. Will the kill spells in the format kill this? Are people playing a lot of Scorching Dragon Fires and Lava Coils? Or are they playing Doom Blades? But powerful card, not super exciting. Gets bounced back to Fairy, gets killed by Elspeth Conqueror's Death. You're going to hear about it a lot over the next 5 hours, unfortunately. But probably more of a sideboard juke. Again, this is kind of a rose-colored glasses kind of card. People remember this card from back in the day, and they're like, Baneslayer's insane. But I think it was overrated back then, too, personally. So, kind of a cool reprint. It's pretty fun, but not really going to do too much in Standard, most likely. Ooh, I'm sorry, folks. What is this? I'm sorry, folks. Do we have our very, very first Best in Show? We do. Why isn't that exciting, honestly? But new Planeswalker here. And I did not look up pronunciations before we started this. Basri Ket. Hopefully I got that right. And Basri is a 3-mana Planeswalker. 3 loyalty. +1. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. And it gains indestructible until end of turn. -2. Whenever 1 or more non-token creatures attack, you get that many 1/1 soldier tokens also tapped and attacking, and they stick around. So, pretty cool abilities here on the first 2. The ultimate's usually not as relevant. We'll get to that. So the +1 adds to the board, allows your creatures to attack into larger creatures and not trade, which is pretty cool. The -2 is actually pretty sweet. So if you attack with, say, 2 creatures on turn 3, you get 2 more creatures, which is pretty awesome. And there are global pump effects in this set. We'll see a little bit later. So this is the kind of card where, is it Gideon Allies Zendikar or Teferi Time Raveler? No. This is similar to a lot of the recent Ajani's where they are very good in aggro decks, not great otherwise. And I actually really like the power level of all the Planeswalkers in this set, where they're more complementary pieces than, oh my god, Fort Teferi, smash it in my deck, or Fort Nissa, who shakes the world. So, not going to take over the game, but a very good complementary threat, a very good way to diversify your threats. If you're playing an aggro deck, you don't got to worry about getting, Deafening Clarion, Wrath of God, things like that. You can play a threat that's a little more sticky, and it's pretty sweet. Pretty solid aggro card. The ultimate is -6, you get an emblem. Beginning of combat in your turn, make a soldier, and put a +1/+1 counter on all your creatures. So definitely a good ultimate, but I imagine you'll be using the minus ability pretty often if you're an aggro deck. So, pretty cool card. My best of show, best in show. I mean, I'm just going to mess it up every time. Don't worry about it. But pretty cool new Planeswalker. Again, not overwhelmingly powerful, but definitely a very solid aggro card for sure. Basri's Acolyte. This is definitely not a constructed card, but solid limited card, honestly. 2/3 for 4 looks kind of yeah, but it's got lifelink, and it adds 2 extra power to the board wherever you want, which is huge, and fuels your +1/+1 synergies. So I think this card is sneakily very, very good and limited. This sort of variable effect is very awesome. Board states in limited tend to get kind of stale, where you end up like in standoffs. This can kind of like push through the important creature, pump a flyer, do this, do that. So this is not best in show. Not best in show. Oops. But yeah, so definitely solid limited card. A little cat synergy. I don't know if that matters or not, but looks pretty cool. Basri's Lieutenant. Now we're in the rare section, so a little more pushed here. 3/4 for 4, Vigilance, Pro Multicolored. When it comes into play, you put one +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, and then whenever it or another creature you control dies. So basically, if any creature dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, you get a 2/2 white knight with Vigilance. Pretty sweet, honestly. Pretty powerful card. It's in that range where at 4 mana, it's like a little too expensive for aggro decks, but a little too unimpactful for like mid-range decks. But definitely a powerful card. The ability to get value when your creatures die is great. It's a decent size, decent ability. Can't be bounced by Teferi. Pretty important. And just a solid card. The question is, like, what deck wants this card? You know, that I'm not really sure. But very powerful limited card, of course. Phenomenal unlimited. But definitely a cool card. If +1/+1 counters are a thing, this could definitely see play. But it's the kind of card where it's in that 4 mana slot where it's just like kind of awkwardly not really aggro enough, but not really mid-range enough, not really control enough. So we'll see if it sees play or not. Definitely a pretty cool card, but we'll see. We'll see. And then limited this card is just phenomenal. So phenomenal. Basri's Solidarity. 2 mana sorcery. Put a +1/+1 creature on each counter on +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. If this card was an instant, it would be messed up. Really, really good. As it is, this is sort of like a one-shot Glorious Anthem, but again, +1/+1 counter synergy is pretty cool. I imagine this is a decent card if you're going really, really wide in limited. In constructed, a card this isn't really good enough. You know, Unbreakable Formation is still legal. That card's much, much better. And yeah, definitely a possible limited card. If you're looking for a way to kind of break through, this could be okay in limited, but I'm not super thrilled about it in both spots. Celestial Enforcer, 3 mana for a 2/3. 2 mana, tap a creature only if you have a flyer. This card is not very good. Tappers in limited are definitely solid, but they usually cost 2, not 3, so big step down, or even 1. So 3 mana for a tapper is pretty unexciting. 2 to tap instead of 1 mana, pretty awkward as well. And you gotta have a flyer. So is this card playable? Yeah. Is it a card you're really excited about? No, not really. It's just kind of a limited filler card. Yeah, definitely one of the worst versions of a tapper I've seen maybe ever. There were some like pretty awkward ones that could only tap like big things or small things, but pretty mopey for a creature with the ability to tap target creature. So art's cool. Definitely cool art. Concordia Pegasus, 1/3 flyer for 2. Again, another cool vessel for +1/+1 counters. Definitely, there is a flyer theme. This is the kind of like bigger than the sum of its parts card in limited, where face value 1/3 flyer for 2 doesn't look very good. But when you think about it in the context of the format, +1/+1 counters, flying synergy stuff, definitely probably a reasonable limited card in the decks that want it for sure. Obviously constructed, you know. Containment Priest. Ooh, kind of a weird one here. Out of left field, this was a commander card, obviously playable in Legacy, and big cyborg card in Legacy. I play this card a lot in Legacy, and use it to stop reanimates and show and tells and things like that. Now we got it in Standard, Pioneer, Historic, and Modern. So this card will definitely see a lot of sideboard play, especially in the more broken formats where more broken things are happening. It's funny, it's a human, but it turns off Aether Vial, so a little awkward there. But yeah, I mean, this is basically, if this is something you need in your sideboard against like Dredge, things like that, pretty powerful. I'm blanking a bit on other things that it does. It wasn't cast. It's like graveyard stuff, Aether Vial. Yeah, this card does. It's a sideboard card. It's been around forever. Now it's in new formats, basically. It's cheap. It's efficient. It's good in counterspell decks. Can stop Euro, which is pretty cool. Actually, nope. You cast Euro, right? Because you're casting it with Escape. Does not work. But yeah, definitely a good sideboard card. Never really going to see main deck play, but having Flash makes this card really, really, really versatile, especially with counterspells. So definitely an interesting card to add to Modern. Kind of a way to add a little value to a set too. So a Daybreak Charger. Limited common, 2-drop. It's like okay 2-drop. Has value on turn 2, has value a little later on, has a little pump. just your usual average 2-drop. There is some 1/1 token stuff in this set, so it makes the 1 toughness a bit of a liability, but it's fine. It's a 2-drop. You need a 2-drop, you can play it. Little Ponyta energy here, of course. Defiant Strike. This card's basically become evergreen. This is in most core sets now. Just a solid little trick. Plays well with Prowess, but there aren't many Prowess effects in white, obviously. Feather is still legal, but this card's also legal in Standard currently, so nothing really to say here. This is a cute little trick in Limited. Pretty low barrier to entry in Limited. 1-mana cantrip. Just a fine little card. It's cool. Dub. 2-mana or 3-mana aura. Creature gets +2/+2 first strike and is a knight. These kind of cards are usually a blowout in Limited. You play this card and they just kill your creature, get 2 for 1. So not really the most exciting card, but there are a few things that get protection in white. We'll see an uncommon or common later if it does. There's a dog that gives protection, things like that. So definitely, if you can protect it, kind of go big on something. Maybe on a flyer, same thing, but not really an exciting card in your draft decks. Too much risk. And then obviously constructed around playing this. Faith Fetters, old school. This is a card that was I played against this card in my first Pro Tour in 2006 in Honolulu, Hawaii. I played a Zoo deck. This card was very good against me. And now it's back in Standard. 4-mana, enchant permanent. Basically like a super pacifism for a permanent. Can't attack, can't block, can't activate. It's a permanent, can hit planeswalkers. Close to a Vindicate for 4-mana, and you gain 4 life. And this is like one of those nutso anti-aggro cards. Like they play an Annex, you pop this on it, gain 4 life. It's real good, real good. Cards are a little better now, obviously, but still a really powerful effect. More for like board control tap out decks than like counterspelly decks, but pretty cool. Kind of cool with the Pharaoh. You can bounce this, recast it. Definitely just like a pretty powerful card. There's obviously enchantment synergies still from Theros. Maybe it jumps into that. It is competing with Elspeth Conquers Death a little bit, which costs 1 more mana, does a lot more. But good anti-aggro card, probably a sideboard card, probably not much of a main deck card, but definitely a nice tool for the format to have, kind of a cool card. And then a limited of this card's phenomenal. This is a 4-mana unconditional kill spell that gains 4 life. Awesome and looted. Awesome. Falconer Adept, 4-mana for a 2/3. Whenever it attacks, make a 1/1 flying bird token that's tapped and attacking. I think this card is in that weird spot where it just like a little too much mana. I think if this card cost 3, it would be outrageously good in Limited. At 4, I think it's still fine in Limited, but 4-mana 2/3 is like kind of sketch. So not the most exciting. Kind of a cute card. It's hard. It's a little hard to gauge, but thinking about your 2/3 creature on turn 5 trying to attack safely, it's kind of tough. It'd be better if it was a 3/2, honestly, because at least it would trade, and you would get a flyer for your trouble. But yeah, so Feed Resistance reprint here. This is like an okay trick in Limited. It's not great because the pump isn't that big, and you want your pump spell to win a combat against a better creature usually. And this can't always do that, but the counter is permanent. It's good on creatures with abilities. It's reasonable. It's an okay trick in Limited. Definitely not playable in Constructed, but it's an okay trick. Again, stock goes up pretty high if you have +1/+1 synergies. Probably don't want to play it otherwise. I would guess. Gale Swooper, 4-mana for a 3/2 flyer. Pretty standard Limited fare. Comes into play, you jump something, give it flying. Not super exciting. There was that Imperios Aerosaur card in Ixalan that was like a 3/3 that gave a plus also. So that card was really good. This card's a little below that. It's playable. Shock is in the format, so it's not the most exciting card in Limited, but definitely if you're looking for a way to push through, this is a reasonable one to do it. Awkward thing is it's a flyer, and if you're in the flyers deck, you don't need to give your flyers flying. So loses value there, which is kind of weird. So it's a little awkward anti-synergy with like the things that the cards are doing. But yeah, Gale Super, it's a card. Glorious Anthem. Glorious Anthem is back. Glorious Anthem is kind of like the classic pump effect here. 3 mana, creatures you control get +1/+1. So we've seen variations on this. Always Watching. There's been a few of them lately, but this is kind of like the original Pump Your Team card. And if you're playing tokens, this card's pretty good. So there are token effects in Standard. Cards like Legion War Boss, Forbidden Friendship, things like that. So I think you need to be doing more than just casting creatures for this card to be good. If I go 1-drop on 1, 2-drop on 2, this on 3, it's probably not good enough. But if I'm playing cards like Forbidden Friendship, things that make more than one token, definitely a cool constructed card for sure. Could definitely see play if those kind of decks have the tools they need. We're kind of in like, mid-range ramp hell right now in Standard. So I don't know. And it's weird because like cards like Faith Fetters encourage that more. And like the set does not do a good job. Does not do a good job of helping out aggro decks, it feels like, but we'll see. So definitely a possible constructed card. It's not like off the charts good, but it is definitely a playable card for sure. Yeah, cool card. And then limited, you want to be going pretty wide, but this card's obviously quite good in limited. I wouldn't play this if my deck had like 11 creatures, but definitely it can be a really good card in limited as well. Griffin Airy, 2-mana enchantment, beginning of your end step. If you gained 3 more life this turn, create a 2/2 white Griffin creature token with flying. Kind of a cool payoff for gaining life. There's a lot of life gain stuff in this set. If this triggered off 2 life, I think this card would be phenomenal because the card Radiant Fountain we'll see later is really, really good. Definitely cheap enough to be interesting. 2/2 flyers are pretty good. And once you get the first 2/2 flyer off this card, I think you've made it. A 2/2 flyer for 2 with upside is definitely fine. So are there enough life gain pieces to make this work? Not sure, but as far as life gain payoffs go, this one's pretty reasonable. And the flying body is pretty good as well. So definitely a card to watch if a life gain things kind of work. There is still like Daxos and Heliod and like other life gain elements. Could be a thing. It's also an enchantment, so a little synergy there with Theros. It's important to look at cards in the new set through a lens of the older sets that are currently legal, whereas maybe Constellation wasn't good enough before, but if they get a few new cool enchantments, maybe. This card and Heliod could be friends. I think 2 mana for a do-nothing, though, it's okay. Once you get into the 3 and 4 range, that's too much. You can't take off that turn to do that. But for 2 mana, you just dump it and play on turn 2, and then play your game going forward. That's reasonable. And big thanks to the resubs here. El Rotato, Gizmo, JM, Wenner, Wolfie. Appreciate it, everyone. Thanks so much. Idol of... Oh, and then in limited, you got to have a pretty... You got to get at least 2 tokens off this card in limited to make it worth it, I think. That's pretty hard. But fun build around. Idol of Endurance. 3-mana artifact. White artifact. When Idol of Endurance enters battlefield, exile all creatures in your graveyard, mana cost 3 or less, until it leaves the battlefield. So it Oblivion Rings all the creatures in your graveyard. And then you can pay 2 mana and tap it. And until end of turn, you may cast a creature spell from among the cards exiled with Idol without paying its mana cost. This card is pretty cool. I don't think this card played fair is super exciting. It's kind of a cool card for like, I'm playing an aggro deck against a control deck. They've wrathed me. They killed some stuff. Then on turn 5, I just play this, activate it, cast a free 3-drop, and say go. And that's a pretty good turn. Now we have his thing in play. We have another threat. So definitely a really cool way to kind of like recover from a wrath. But may not do enough as far as like gold fishing. But in formats where you're like self-milling, Satyr Wayfinder, things like that, could be really cool. Definitely a very interesting card. It's a weird one. This card's probably pretty good in limited. You're just kind of like rebuying all the cards in your graveyard, which is pretty cool. But kind of card you got to see him play. Definitely think this card's good in limited. It's like a late game thing. Could definitely see play constructed too. We'll see. I think I'd want to be doing graveyard stuff too. Maybe Fiend Artisan, stuff like that. Not really sure. Definitely an interesting card. Not a card you probably want to main deck, but in slower matchups could be pretty cool. Legion's Judgment, reprint here. 3-mana sorcery, kill creature power 4 greater. Not playable constructed. I don't like starting this card in my draft decks, but it does depend on the format. Probably more of a sideboard card in limited. But yeah, not too exciting. We see this card every set. Light of Promise. 3-mana aura. Enchant creature. Enchant creature has whenever you gain life, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. This is the kind of card where the juice ain't worth the squeeze. It does nothing by itself. That's a count against it. It's an aura. That's a count against it. And, I mean, it has a ceiling, but you have to be, like, doing other stuff, too, and have a creature, and then have a kill spell. If this card costs, like, 1 or 2, I mean, maybe, but this is I think this is a pretty mopey card. It does have, gain life synergies and plus one synergies. It's not unplayable, but I'd have to be pretty deep going with this card in my draft deck. So, not a very promising card. Makeshift Battalion, 3 mana for a 3/2. Whenever it attacks with 2 other creatures or more, you put a +1/+1 counter onto Makeshift Battalion. Not super exciting. Might be a 4/3 attacker if things go really well, but it's still going to trade with a 3-drop probably, so not super exciting. Dies to shock and things like that. It's just like a card. It's just a card. Not really super exciting. Reminds me a bit of the 3/2 human in Ikoria, where it's like, yeah, you can play it if your deck's like super geared towards it, but it's not very exciting. Just okay, Mangara the Diplomat. Mangara's back. No longer Karakasing and exiling lands, Mangara Diplomat's a 4 mana mythic. It's 2/4 lifelinker, which is a decent rate. Whenever an opponent attacks you or a planeswalker you control with 2 or more creatures, you draw a card. This ability looks really good, right? It's white card draw. This is really cool. Your opponent controls this ability. Unless they're playing... This card is basically, unless they're playing mono red, this card's not going to be great. You're probably not going to get what you want out of it. They're not going to attack you with multiple creatures unless they're killing you. And standards are more about one big idiot or planeswalkers than multiple creatures. So this feels more like a commandery card. It's definitely a really good sideboard card against mono red, let me tell you. Second ability also is whenever an opponent casts a second spell, you draw a card. That part's pretty good. There are definitely spells, decks that double spell, and maybe draw a card off that. I'm just not really sure what deck wants this card, except for your EDH deck. Is it a control card? I don't know. I'm play a 2/4 for the 2/4 creature for 4. That's not very good. Is it a mid-range card? Not really. Can your opponent turn it off? Yeah. So it's a lot of words, and I do appreciate Wizards of the Coast trying to give white a little card draw. I think every color should have some form of card draw. Red gets the light up a stage effect. Love it. Black plays life to draw cards. Love it. Green's been drawing a lot of cards lately too, I guess. Kind of draw creatures-y stuff. Sure. White just out in the cold. Please. I just want to draw a card. Please, just one card, please. So I appreciate Wizards trying to do a little bit with that, but this card's probably not going to see much play constructed. At least maybe a sideboard card, but not really super exciting otherwise. I appreciate the direction it's going though. So 9 lives, get it? Because cats they have 9 lives, right? Do you get it? 9 lives, white and 1 enchantment, hexproof. If a sorcerer deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there are 9 or more incarnation counters on 9 lives, exile it. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. Day 9 should have previewed this card. I agree. They got to work on their previews, who they give previews to. Hint, me, Goblin card. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, kind of a weird card. It basically means that you can get hit 9 times, and then you die. But if they play a Planner Cleansing or something that makes you sacrifice things or whatever, you lose. It kind of loses cards like Solemnity. Am I saying that right? I don't even know. Does things. Kind of a weird enchantment. It having hexproof makes it playable, of course, so you can't just get cheesed out. Not sure what deck wants this. It's also kind of weird because it's whenever a source deal damage to you. So say I attack you with a Scorch Spitter, take 1, move a counter, take 1 damage, remove a counter. Can add up. Shock you, move a counter. So it really puts you on a clock, So kind of a weird card. This kind of fits in line with all the weird white prison cards people love. I don't know. It's a card. I doubt it'll see much play. It's Phyrexian on life obviously has combo applications. This one does not. So it's a card. Also does not stop life loss as a slight a slight thing. So if your opponent's making you lose life, it's not going to work. So Tranquility, GG. So and then limited, I can't see this card being very good in limited. Realistically. Notably, the art is all famous cats in Magic history. Mufasa. Say it again. Mufasa. Pack Leader. Lord. 2 mana, 2/2. All dogs go to heaven. All other dogs you control get +1/+1. Whenever Pack Leader attacks, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn to dogs you control. Now, this is really big. Typically, a card like this would be all other dogs you control. So this protects itself. That is huge game. That makes this one of like the best lords ever printed, honestly, as far as two-mana lords go. The problem is there just ain't that many dogs. There just aren't that many dogs, realistically. The tribal support. If this was a goblin or an elf or a merfolk, this would be the best lord ever printed, for sure. Just like 2/2 for 2 that pumps your team is already like, we've seen this, Legion Lieutenant and whatever the Knight one is. We've seen this effect a million times, and it's definitely playable by itself, but that ability is really, really good. I should have queued up who had the dogs out on the soundboard. I'm a failure as a content creator and a streamer. So this card's insane. Really, really good lord, but are there enough dogs for a deck? Probably not. I don't know. We'll see. But really, really good lord. This card's probably busted and limited. A 2/2 for 2 that it can attack safely every turn is just good enough anyway. So you could make clones of this card. That is fair. You just copy this card over and over and over again. Yeah, just clone it. Quasi-duplicate. All right, so I promise everyone, you can hold me to this right now. I will build a quasi-duplicate Pack Leader deck and play it on stream at some point. Hold me to that, all right? I want you all to keep me in line. If I don't do that, you got to get me, all right? Maybe I'll do that for the early access stream. So, Rambunctious Mutt. Speaking of dogs, 5 mana, 3/4 comes into play. Disenchant. Not playable, constructed, obviously, but okay, limited card. Probably more of a sideboard card than anything else, but it's a card. If you kill someone with it, it's very, very good. It's a draft card, whatever. Revitalize. Again, this card is a reprint. I think it might even already be in standard, but with all the new life gain things, this does trigger a lot of the effects, like that 2-mana enchantment. This triggers it by itself. So that's pretty good. Definitely a card that could see play. The rate is there. The demand needs to be there. And it limited, I don't think you're upset putting this card in your deck, especially if you have life gain stuff. This card actually might be actively really good in limited if you have a life gain deck. So definitely, again, a card we need to alter our perception on because of how it fits in the context of a new format. Yeah, no, Renewed Faith. Rest in peace, Renewed Faith. Ruined Halo. Speaking of weird white prison enchantments that everyone likes so much. This card's not very good. This card is specifically good at 2 things. One, if you're playing against a deck like Valakut, and you turn off one of their main card, or Death Shadow, where they only have 1 or 2 actual threats, it's fine. And secondly, it is a good devotion enabler. It is 2 white pips for 2 mana. It's also an enchantment. So there is some, if you're looking at this as kind of like an enabler card, less than a protection card, because you want to get devotion or have an extra enchantment, probably more of where you're at. I think played straight up, this card just kind of sucks. It is good against Boggles. That is true, Goober. It is good against Boggles. Heat Flash, thanks to Risa. Appreciate that. So yeah, this card, don't play this card in limited. Again, you may have protection, but they still can block with the creature. Not very good. Also important to note, they can attack your planeswalkers too. So this card's like, everyone loves this card. I'm going to poo-poo on it. I don't think it's that good. This card, however, I actually really like this card. For the briefest moment, this was my best in show for white. I know, I'm off my rocker. But Sanctum of Tranquil Light, the shrines are back. Now, those who don't remember, there were 5 shrines in Kamigawa. And they each triggered off the number of shrines you had, and they were each legendary. So now we have a new set of shrines. This is the white entry. It's a 1 mana shrine. So again, if we're looking to turn on the other shrines, 1 mana. What more do you want? You know, it's cheap. It's an enchantment. It's white. It's legendary. And it's just cheap. Just a cheap shrine. You know, this is kind of like an enabler for your other shrines. The ability is 6 mana, tap a creature, but it costs 1 less for each shrine you have. So if you have like 4 shrines in play, 2 mana tap a creature, 2 mana tap a creature, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But don't think of it that ability as secondary. This is a support card for shrines. This is a way to get your shrines going early, cheap. I'll also build a shrine deck for sure. Hold me to it. I'll build a shrine deck. So, more of an enabler, but definitely a very relevant ability. I think that in the mid to late game, just tap that left and right. Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. Season Hollowblade. This is kind of a weird card. This is a madness enabler in white. It's a weird one. So 3/1 for 2. It's a human. Discard a card to give it indestructible to end of turn. This makes me think that like whatever the next set is, it's gonna have madness in it. Because this card's just so weird. Why does white discard cards? What does being a warrior have to do discarding cards? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, if you want to have a way to discard things, this is definitely serves that purpose pretty well. You know, 2 mana just like any card that has it costs 2 or 1 mana, and its ability is discard a card something can see play because it's a madness enabler. It's a way to just put cards in your graveyard. So don't sleep on this card. And honestly, like the threat of activation here is really good because they don't want to block because you would discard a card, but they don't block, so you don't have to discard a card. So the threat here is good too. This card's pretty good. Very good limited. Very, very good limited. Pitch extra lands. But it's a solid card. I'm just not really sure what you want to do with it, but definitely do not overlook any card with discard a card, effect with no mana cost. It's pretty good. Adanto Vanguard Light. Yeah. Phenomenal limited card too. Secure a Scene. 4 mana sorcery. Exile non-land permanents, and they get a 1/1 token. This is like bottom of the barrel removal in limited. Yeah, this can kill things. You probably don't want this card in your deck unless you're dying for removal. It does exile, which is kind of nice. Giving them a token kind of sucks. This is like, you know, the 5 mana kill spells limited. You play them, but you're not like pumped about it. It's a sorcery. This has got most things not going for it. So kind of just a mopey kill spell. If you're desperate for removal and limited, you can play this, but I don't think I'd be very happy to have this card in my deck. Selfless Savior. Now, speaking of dogs, this card is really good. Very similar to Benevolent Bodyguard. Again, the big thing about cards like this and the 3 we just looked at, Hollowblade, is that these cards don't have a mana cost to their ability, which makes them so much better. So much better. Because there's never a shields down moment. You know, if you have to use all your mana, great. It's still on. So all Seed of Life's bounty, there's just going to be a point where maybe you got to tap out. You know, and you got to think about that. Do I tap out? Do I not tap out? So if you're looking to protect things, this card is sweet. Yes, I know who would want to sacrifice this dog. I would. All right. I'm not big on dogs. Dogs are fine, whatever. But if I got to sack the dog, save a hamster, I'm going to do it every single time. Go ahead, unfollow me. I don't care. I'll speak the truth. All right. I'm a horrible person. I know. It's who I am. It's fine. I accept it. Sack the dog. All viewers are gone. Jim's career is over. I'm going to have to sell the house. But yeah, this card's really, really good. It is a 1/1, so you need to be like protecting something worthwhile or have dog synergies, things like that. Thanks for subbing, Clone. Appreciate that. But this card is, if you're looking for this effect, it's a very, very good version of the effect for sure. Definitely compares favorably to Benevolent Bodyguard. And back then, creatures weren't really worth protecting. Now creatures are so good you want to protect them. So definitely a good card. I like it. Siege Striker, a 1/1 for 3, so not playable constructed. Double strike. Whenever it attacks, you can tap a number of untapped creatures you control. and it gets +1/+1 for each creature tapped this way. This is an okay limited card. It's not particularly great. It's 2/1 on defense, basically. And it's if you need to break a board stall, it can do that. You know, we're board stalled. Each have 10 creatures. Tap 3 of them, attack with a double striker. But not very exciting. Pretty bad on rate. Just a 1/1 for 3. Not really about it. Not really about it. Speaker of the Heavens. 1 mana for a 1/1 Vigilance Lifelink. Has an ability tap, make a 4/4 white angel token with flying. But you can only activate this ability if you have 7 or more life than your starting life total. And only as a sorcery. So this is your big payoff for your life gain deck. 27 life in the constructed or limited. And you can make 4/4 every single turn. Is that good? Yeah. Is it good enough? Probably not. There has to be like a really all-in life gain deck to make this card good. It definitely, if it gets going, it's really, really good. And it's nice that it has lifelink, and it's nice that it has vigilance, so it can kind of like help to trigger itself. You know, this card will probably get in for 2 points if you play it on turn 1, and therefore gain you 2 life. There are definitely life gain things going on. Dawn of Hope is still legal. That's a card. But it's pretty bad if it doesn't work, you know? So this is the kind of card where if there's a deck for it, it's good. If not, it's not going to do anything. And then limited, I'd want a pretty significant life gain deck. But same thing. If you have +1/+1 counters, this is a 2/2 or a 3/3, now I'm pretty happy. So definitely a reasonable limited card. It could win you the game by itself in limited. So it's cool. Staunch Shieldmate. Raise your hand in chat to all my stream viewers right now. Remember the card, is it Alablaster Leech? So there was a cycle of cards in Invasion back when creatures were terrible. Terrible. And the cycle of rare creatures in Invasion were all overcosted, like undercosted creatures. But the downside was they made all your spells cost more. So Jade Leech was a 5/5 for 4 in green. It made all your green spells cost more. That card was actually playable. And the white one was a 1/3 creature for 1 mana that made all your spells cost 1 white mana more. Like, this card ain't playable, you know? Back then, they were so scared to put stats on a creature, it's unbelievable. Like, you look at those old cards, it's hilarious. Like Invasion, Mercadian Masks, but yeah, this card's obviously unplayable and everything, but it's kind of cute. It's probably the first 1/3 with no drawback, so whatever. What are you going to do? This card is actually really good. Swift Response, 2 mana instant, destroy target tapped creature. This card compares pretty favorably to Seal Away. Seal Away, of course, was a very popular kill spell when it was legal and standard. See some play in Pioneer. And while Seal Away exiled, you also have the downside of, like, they could kill it and get back the creature, which is a pretty big downside. This card just kills it. And this sort of effect is often seen as a sorcery for more mana, like Assassinate, Vengeance. And those cards were, like, you know, okay and limited. But this card for 2 mana is awesome in a control deck. This is great. Just unconditional, kill your creature. Gideon's, whatever the hell it was, 4 damage attacker or blocker, saw play. A little bit of play constructed. This card's great. This card's really, really good. And the problem with the kill tap creature cards was always they were sorceries. And they'd always hit you first, and then you kill it, which sucks. So, instant, awesome. Important to note that if this won't kill Mantis Rider. So, you know, there are vigilance creatures that can make this a little scary, but for the most part, this is a really, really solid kill spell in white. White does not usually see kill spells this good. First pick in limited, probably, and then in constructed, this is definitely a very, very playable card. Blonde, thanks for sub, appreciate that. Tempered Veteran, 2 mana for a 1/2. Squire. Squire's back in action. 1 white, tap, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature that already has a counter on it, +1/+1 counter, or 6 mana to put a counter on any creature. Obviously not playable constructed. This is like a limited like synergy card. If you're playing a ton of counter stuff, this can kind of boost you up a little bit. It's cool to note that if you put a counter on this, it can pump itself, which is kind of cool. So therefore, it can be self-perpetuating. But yeah, this is like a limited card. I mean, limited synergy card. You don't want to just play this card, but if you have things to work with it, it's fine. Not super exciting though. Valorous wasn't this like an adventure creature in Eldraine that was like, this is like both halves of the adventure at one time? This is a pretty solid common and limited. Definitely good if you're going wide. Glorious Anthem. But just a solid limited card. It's fine. It's 2 bodies, 5 power over 3 mana. Not amazing. Not super awesome or anything, but definitely just, it's a card you can play. It's fun. Goes wide. Good with global pump effects. It's reasonable. Vryn Wingmare, a little downshift here. Goes from rare to uncommon. This is the non-legendary Thalia with flying. So 3 mana, 2/1 flyer. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. This card is like fringe playable. 3 is a lot more than 2. So on the draw, this card doesn't feel like it does enough. But this card's reasonable, honestly. I mean, like, non-creature spells are a pretty big game in Constructed. And it's got flying, so it's flying synergies. More of a constructed card than a limited card. 2/1 flyer for 3 is fine and limited, but not great. But this card like could see play in constructed. Probably won't see too much. Didn't see much play the first time around, but this is like a dark horse kind of card that could see play for sure. Keep an eye on it. This card's not in Pioneer. I'm not sure, but Warded Battlements. If this card was an 0/4, I think it would be awesome and limited. This is an 0/3 wall for 3 that gives all your attacking creatures +1/+0. Really cool design. I do think this card, if it was an 0/4, would be like a stellar limited card. At an 0/3, I'm not super excited about it, but it's still a global pump effect for your attackers, which is pretty good. So it's good with the unicorn card we just saw. It's good if you're going wide. But it's a weird, like, Glorious Anthem common for limited, Again, if you really want the effect, it works. Again, as an 0/4, this card's awesome. 0/3 is not as good, and then obviously in Constructed, just play Glorious Anthem, That's it. That's white. So, not super exciting. Honestly, I almost gave Best in Show to Sif Response here, but I think the Planeswalker has the ability to be more impactful overall. But kind of thin and white. A little thin, honestly. Nothing really jumps out as like, all right, this is a powerful card. There's no Elspeth Conquers Death in white this time around, unless I'm really missing it. But that's white, so we're going to keep rolling here. We got much more to do. All the other colors are coming. But YouTube folks, please take a second to like, comment, and subscribe. And helps me out a ton. Every video, just take 10 seconds, like the video, leave a comment. Helps the algorithms really get things going for me. So thanks, YouTube, and look for the next video. Blue coming up, right, YouTube? Thanks so much. I love you, YouTube.